Sorry. I just drank a cup of coffee and it got my stomach upset. But basically, so you go to the Kingdom Hall. Let's say they knock on your door. You start reading their magazines, their Watchtower, their Weight magazines. You do that for several months, and then you decide you want to have a Bible study with them. And then they invite you to the Kingdom Hall, which is usually the steps it takes before you get to a Kingdom Hall for the lectures and the sermons and all that stuff, like a church, but it's just what they call a Kingdom Hall. Same thing, principle. But you go there, they're like, if you there's two books that they have that they study with you out of. By the time you finish the second book, if you haven't converted and said that I want to get baptized as a Jehovah's Witness, they will stop studying with you and basically stop bringing you literature and pretty much uninvite you in the circle, basically. Yeah, like we don't want to spend time on people. I've heard people say this. We don't spend time on people who aren't making progress. And I'm like, I thought you said that the Kingdom Hall was open to anybody. The literature was for anybody. The Bible studies were for anybody who wanted to learn what you know. So why do you cut people off at the knees just because they haven't decided to convert to being a Jehovah's Witness? And so the whole thing becomes part of this idea that Jehovah's Witnesses have, that only Jehovah's Witnesses are saved in God's eyes. And it is a core principle belief that they have. And they're like, even after Armageddon, only Jehovah's Witnesses are going to be saved because it's our job to do a reteaching work of teaching people about Jehovah and his role in Armageddon and what happened between him and Satan and Adam and Eve and all this stuff and why Armageddon had to happen and why they're not in heaven right now even though Armageddon just happened and why the rapture didn't actually happen and all this stuff that's not in the Bible anywhere. So I'm like, the older I got, the more I realized Jehovah's Witnesses get engaged in a lot of false prophesying. And I was like, so they spend like a lot of their core beliefs and teachings and the things they do, like considering everybody that's not a Jehovah's Witness to be a worldly person, or considering everyone who's not a Jehovah's Witness to be bad association and gonna influence you away from being a Jehovah's Witnesses, and like so they're bad people. Like that's another core belief they have that they won't articulate to your face, but like everybody knows it and everybody believes it, and like have so many little core beliefs and principles and things they do that have them squarely in the camp of cult. And so, like, I didn't realize this. I slowly started to understand this because it was like the luckiest thing that could have happened to me when I was 27 and COVID broke out. We were doing the Kingdom Hall meetings over Zoom, and the Zoom quality was so bad that, like, you heard maybe 20 minutes out of a hour 10-minute long Kingdom Hall session, and I would literally be sprawled out on my living room floor, the phone like 5 feet away from me, just listening to feedback and static and chopped up words. Someone's giving a comment and they've got their Zoom microphone on and they're giving a comment over the screen, and like you would hear like 5 words out of like 50 words that they said. And it would be like that for the whole meeting, and I would just be sitting there staring at the wall in agony because, like, with my autism, I have sensory overload. So just listening to a bunch of feedback and static and chipped up words and chopped up words and music that fades in and out when there's time to sing the songs. And I just slowly stopped attending because it was not something I was getting any benefit out of. I wasn't getting any sensory input out of the meetings. I wasn't getting any benefit out of the scriptures. Like I couldn't catch anything. So I gradually stopped, and then of course I ran into the apartment issue with the assault and battery charge and became homeless. And so for the next like 2 years, I didn't. Well, it was like for a year, like almost 9 months of homelessness. I didn't attend any meetings, and then I got my NGRI charge. I didn't attend any meetings, and then I'm like where I am now, and I still haven't attended any meetings. So from 27 until 34, I was not a Jehovah's Witness, and over those years, that's pretty much when I was at the group home a couple years back, where I did all those videos talking about being atheist and agnostic and universalist and back to atheist, and I was going through a transition of really heavily assessing everything I had been raised to believe about God and religion and theology and all that stuff. And I was coming up with a lot of very striking revelations because it's a little different if you're raised in a church environment that's not necessarily a cult. Like I have my reservations about Christianity in general, like the way they look down on gay people or same-sex marriage or same-sex couple raising children or transgender people and stuff like that. That's not particularly listed in the Bible, or the fact that gay people are listed in the Bible is a problem for me because I don't think God would have ever opened his mouth and called out gay people, knowing all the hate it would bring on gay people and the way people respond when they hear someone called out specifically. Like I don't believe he even has a problem with gay people. That's not a very loving feeling or thought process to have. So Christianity in general is just a problem for me. So I have my reservations about Christianity as it is. But I went through a lot of soul searching in regards to Jehovah's Witnesses in particular. But if you had been raised in a Christian environment that was not necessarily a cult, it would be a little bit different of a reckoning, I guess, if you had drifted away from that and looked back. I'm not going to say that churches don't have their own issues and problems, because I'm sure they do. But being raised in a cult that taught a lot of things that weren't in the Bible and really got your hopes up about this brilliant future where everyone's going to be perfect and you won't have arthritis and nobody dies and there's no heart attacks and everyone's going to be living this peaceful utopia and everybody's going to be on the same page and everybody's going to be a Jehovah's Witness and everybody's going to be at one and it's going to be this society of peaceful people, and you're raised from infancy. You've been hearing about this since you were in the womb, and someone put this in front of you like it was true. You never had an opportunity to see it as anything but true. You were sheltered away from other people, other people's viewpoints, told they were worldly and they were bad and they were going to influence you away from your way of thinking. So you never even experienced any other thought process. Like, you have been brainwashed. You haven't had an opportunity to look at what's in front of you with clear eyes. And it's being shoved down your throat at a rapid pace. A daily school, daily Bible study, daily Bible reading, daily Bible studying, and then weekly meetings, and then yearly conventions, and then daily door to door, and all this stuff. You can't get away from it, and if you miss it, they look down on you, your family's berating you. And like when my husband died and I wasn't attending any meetings, and my mom's like, "Why aren't you at the meeting?" I'm like, "What type of question is that? My husband just died." Don't ask why. Maybe ask, "What can I do to help you get back to the meetings?" Don't ask why I'm not at the meeting like you don't know. Like, they treat you like shit if you're not participating in it. And it's like, just, I had the time to really sit and look over all of it once I drifted from those Zoom meetings. And I just came to the conclusion that I felt like it was a cult. And I feel like it was just the luckiest thing in the world for me that I had those sensory issues. Because if that were not an issue for me, I might still be stuck in that organization. And so, like, escaping a cult can be challenging because I know it took a year or two of nothing but straight guilt, feeling like I was doomed, I was gonna die because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, or the spiritual, the whole, if you eat this bread and wine, you're gonna be an angel ruling over mankind. That vision that I had of God in heaven and shit like that, that they, Jehovah's Witnesses, told me meant I was gonna go to heaven as an angel. I felt like I wasn't living up to my duty and that I was like turning down this huge offer from God, and like, how could you slap away God's hand like that? So that was huge on my head. Like, and that's just something they told me, another thing that's not in the Bible anywhere. So like, I had to unlearn all these truths that they told me and all this pressure that I was under, just to be able to look at the concept of God and creation just as an idea on its own. And so while I do still believe in God and I do still reference the name Jehovah, or Yahweh is what I prefer to call him by the Hebrew name of it, because I just don't know any other name to put for God and I wouldn't want to call him anything else. I don't associate with Jehovah's Witnesses and I don't consider myself Christian in any regards. Um, I know I made that video saying I was agnostic Christian only because I believe in Jesus and I believe in God, but I don't believe in Christianity. I described that in the video, that there's no traditional Christianity in my heart, in my mind. There's none of it like Jesus being an angel coming down to be a human. I don't believe in that. I simply believe in the teachings of Jesus as far as love your neighbor and don't follow down behind religious leaders just because they seem to come in God's name, like the Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, I like everything that he taught as far as you don't need religion, because Jesus was not part of any religion. Jesus was Jesus, and people made religion after the name of Jesus. That's why I don't participate in religions that come behind Jesus. I just follow the doctrine that Jesus himself presented, because even he didn't come down here and say you need to be a Christian of Christ in the name of this religion. He never said that anywhere in the Bible. So, like, religion to be created after him was a man made concept, and it has created a lot of problems. Like, God never told anyone that gay people were not going to get in the heaven of God. It was supposed to be influenced or inspired of God, but that's no different than someone saying, I think I understand God well enough to inspiredly say this and that and that and that. That doesn't mean God said it. So, I have a problem with all of it. So, I take very many precautions when it comes to religion at face value. I don't care if it's a Indian religion or a Native American spiritual, spirits in the trees and the flowers religion, or I don't care what it is. If it's any type of religion, I kind of take my hands off of it and step back a ways. Because I know a man structured that based off of his viewpoints or their viewpoints of what they think God would be like and what he would find acceptable and what people should follow as dogma. And I don't believe that there should be structured religion that a group of people need to follow a set of instructions on in order to be pleasing to God. I'm like, you can play in the mud, in the rain, and be closer to God than you would be in a pew with someone praising Jesus under a statue of Jesus on a cross. Like, I'm not saying you can't, to each his own, do what makes you feel close to God, but I would rather feed a bird and a squirrel and know that I'm closer to God through that before I would indulge in structured religion. Like, I'm so far opposed from structured religion, is retarded. So, like, I'm free at this point, and it took being in a cult to help me understand a little better the connection between God and nature, and how I'm a product of nature, and I don't need to be reading books about Jesus and God to be close to God. So I essentially escaped a cult, and it gave me a tremendous amount of insight into theology and structured religion, and an extreme amount of resistance to all of that. So I probably never will be part of structured religion again, and I only consider myself a agnostic Christian because I can't really prove if God is real or not, and that's just a humility thing when I consider myself agnostic, because I'm not willing to get in any tit for tat battle with anyone trying to prove why I think God is real for someone else. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. All I can say is he may or may not be real, but he's real to me. Therefore, Christian comes second because I believe in the teachings of Jesus. I believe he was a real man. Therefore, as I am a daughter of God, Jesus was the Son of God, and God is God. So, agnostic Christian is just where I am now. I'm not sure what other type of label I could put on it. I may even discard that label because I'm not exactly Christian. What I believe in doesn't fall under the title of Christianity in any regard, so I'm not sure what I am. I have not heard a title for what I am. I keep searching for a name for it, but other than a believer in God, there isn't really. Maybe just a theist. I don't know what I am. Um, I just know when I'm in bed at night, like, sometimes I pretend like I'm painting God's fingernails and Jesus' fingernails and the angels' fingernails with fingernail polish. Like, I'll just lay in bed and I'll grab their hands and just paint it purple or maybe green tonight or maybe yellow. It's like a little thing I do every night. Not every single night, but if I'm not super tired, I just go through that ritual in my head, and that's like my little bonding moment with them. Um, or I hug them, I give them kisses, I talk to them, and like that's just my moment of throughout the day. Like if I'm not, haven't talked to God directly or prayed or whatever you want to phrase it as, like my close bonding with them is to pretend I'm painting their toenails or their fingernails and talking to them or hugging them or kissing them or playing with their wings on their back, the feathers or whatever. Like I have little things I do that just make me feel really close to them. Or I pretended to sit on God's lap and just cuddle with him, like, or that I'm in bed behind his throne and I'm just sleeping on a mattress at his feet. Like, there's just little things that I do that cross my mind and make me feel physically close to God in heaven. And it works for me. Like, it's playful, it's whimsical, and it just keeps me happy. So, like, that's kind of how I keep my spirituality alive, by doing playful things with God. But, it's just a belief I have that I think life is a little too complex to have just spawned here. So it's just my belief that God is real. I don't hold him to too many expectations as far as I demand help with this, and so I expect you to do it and do it now. Like, I have prayed to him for help. Like, I have a friend here on YouTube that I pray for with some health issues that she's going through. So I may offer up a prayer too in regards to stuff like that, and I know he will handle it. But like, I don't demand prayers for every little problem I'm going through. Like, I know I'm capable of getting through a lot of the things that I'm dealing with, so I don't rely on him hand and foot for everything. Like, I have no abilities on my own, but I do turn to him in moments of crisis. So I just think he's a wonderful thing. I think he's the best thing I've ever met. And I think I would not have had that close of a bond with God had I still been a Jehovah's Witness, because I would have probably become spiteful about the whole gay people thing and transgender and like same-sex couples raising kids. Like I said earlier in the video, all the things Christians, not even silently, like all the things Christianity balks against, like I could never stand for that. And the one principle that I can use as a Christian to back that up is when it says to it's because I was confused at first, but when it was like obedience is better than a sacrifice, I said, but obedience says that you should, what was the scripture? There's no greater love than that you should die for your neighbor, like the way Jesus died for us in the Christian theology. So I said, so if I have to stand my ground and say I would rather die for my neighbor, die for my gay neighbor in the name of love, rather than be a Christian and have to put them down in damnation, then I am being obedient. So this is just pure stubbornness on my part, that I would rather stand my ground and not be a Christian, stand with the gay people, and know I'm being a loving Christian, than be in an organization that has them written in their Bible as not getting in the kingdom of heaven for something that has always naturally existed on the face of this planet and that God probably created on its own anyway. Like, that's how I feel about that. So I just don't want to be a Christian. I don't want to be part of it. I just don't. So that's how I feel about that. I know I'm gonna have some people come for me in the comments and say I'm damned and I'm going hell and all this shit, but like, that's your belief, not mine. So that's how that goes. And I'm not worried, I'm not scared, I'm not anxious. I have my own relationship with God, and if I go to hell and die for it, then I've been obedient. So am I really going to go to hell? I doubt it. Like, that's how I view that. So I feel safe no matter what I do, because I'm a good person and I have logic in my head and in my heart. And so I'm just glad that I have essentially escaped a cult. And all Christian religion, as a result of escaping that cult, going through the worst Christian religion I can think of as a Jehovah's Witness, has opened my eyes to the rest of the Christian theologies and religions out there. And I find they're all bad. And I just don't want any part of any of them. So, just wanted to share my experience as being a Jehovah's Witness. Again, some new points to talk about, and just share why I don't want to go back. So, I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.